Feel it coming back.
How can I kick her out? Oh well, I guess you're the driver now. Alright, so talking a little bit about the car. I'm trying to make a video. Alright, well it seems like the car's the only place I can actually get some peace and quiet. So, a little bit of story with the car. So, a friend of mine imported it in 2015 and he basically wanted the cleanest Aristo he could get. All the ones over here have been either thrashed or the owners don't want to sell them. So a lot of them here have got like dents and stuff like that. However, he was just like, no, I want to import my own one and I want to do the work and I want to get it up really, really good. So he did that, moved across the country a couple times. But yeah, and then over here he was just like, I'm not going to be able to drive the car enough. So he sent a message to me and was just like, hey, do you want a car? And I'm just like, I already have a car. And it was like, well, this is a better car. And I was just like, okay, I'll get the car. So I got it, and here's my financial mistake. Well, it's probably been like the best thing I've bought by far. So this car, like, I absolutely love it. I adore it. I've been driving it for the past year, and I've put heaps of kilometers on it. Lots of money worth of ethanol. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the car, and what it's got done to it. So let's go to the engine bay. Ta-da! So, it's a standard 2J, so stock internal 2J. It's making about, I've estimated it at 500. I really don't know how much it's making. It's never been on a dyno, but the ETs prove that it's fast, and it's just fast. Anyway, so it's got pretty much stock internals, stock most stuff actually. It doesn't have any upgraded inlet manifold or anything crazy like that. It's got a fuel pressure regulator, running ethanol with BPP fuel rail, Bosch 2200cc injectors, Titan 272 cams, and a eBay manifold with a TR4Z. So yeah, 67mm turbo, spools up nice, but it's an old design, it's an old turbo, so I'm looking to upgrade that, and that's probably the only thing that's stopping me from getting into the 10s now. Because the quickest the car's ever run was an 11.2, and I think it was like 120 mile an hour or something like that. It's just knocking right on the door of 10s, so it's so close. It's running a Haltech Platinum Sport 2000, pretty standard for a 2J. Yeah, nothing extra out of the ordinary. It's running on straight ethanol, no flex tune or anything like that, so yeah, the only petrol stations that sell it are quite a while away, at least half an hour away drive, but oh well, that's why I have a bunch of jerry cans and get 160 litres at a time, and it's just got a front mount as well. But the one thing that I was, and a massive transmission cooler to try and keep that transmission alive, because the A340s aren't the strongest transmission when it comes to putting heaps and heaps of power through them. They generally burn up second gear and they just don't handle it. So, and it's got a 3800 stall torque converter to help with drivability, considering it's a little bit more of a laggy setup than standard. So yeah, as far as tyres on the back, it's got some old crappy Bridgestone Potenzas. Does not hook up because they're old and they're not very wide. Well, they're 265s, 275s, I think. Can't remember. But yeah, it's got a HKS Super Dragger exhaust and open wastegate. So yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's my favorite thing in the entire world. The one thing that I was really impressed with was the fact that they didn't have to cut the front bar to fit the intercooler, even though it is a standard thickness core, and it's pretty stealth. As you can see, it's very hard to see the intercooler. It's hanging down just a little bit, but overall it's tucked in there very nicely. Headlights have got micro cracks in them, but oh well. Now, the interior is absolutely immaculate in this car. It's full leather interior, and like everything is beautiful. Everything works. The sunroof, the seat rails, everything. And the back seat's the most comfortable thing I've ever sat in. So I know it's a little bit filthy at the moment and there's stuff everywhere, but yeah, I got the Junction Produce headrests just for that wank factor, VIP spec. But yeah, no, it's like bog standard interior. It's even got the stock stereo. But from factory, it had the wood grain stereo, which was kind of cool. So yeah, that's the car. And so far, future plans are just new turbo. I've got some big sway bars for it as well, so that's probably going to go in eventually. Other than that, I'm going to keep it street sleeper. That's pretty much what it is. It's a really nice sleeper, really smooth car to drive, absolutely lovely. It's good to go out on weekends and take the missus out if I had one. Yeah. I'm just trying to remember where my drag wheels are, and I just remembered that they're in the boot because I took this drag racing with a friend of mine, and it's just like, hey, you know how you said you were going to take me drag racing in the car as a passenger? So we did. Nearly got kicked out for running too fast with a passenger, but yeah, it's the only thing that helps it hook up on the drags is ET Streets. So yeah, they hook up really well. Cars run a best 60 foot of, I think it was 1.55, which is pretty impressive considering this weighs 1.8 ton, and that's like, I don't know, it's 1800 kilos. So you Americans can work that conversion out. So yeah, that's the car, and this is going to be the Series 2 of Project Aristo. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about what happened to the other car. Okay, so with the other car, I found a shell that was still registered on good old Facebook buy and sell, and I found it for $500, and it had goodies like a limited slip diff, sunroof, all the CD stacker, everything like that. So I was like, okay, let's get it. So all the seat rails will work, the cogs were fine, they weren't stripped like most of the Aristo ones are, and it was pretty clean. So I was just like, okay, let's get it, let's take it on a trailer. And so I did that, and yeah, swapped the 2J out of it, did all the upgrades, like changed the wheels and tires and front mount intercooler. It already had coilovers in it, the same ones as the ones I had before, so they didn't have to be swapped out or anything like that. So yeah, that was pretty much what happened to the old car. Had a boost controller and a couple of other things installed. I made sure the installs were awesome, like all this like stuff that you first do when you get a car, like first learning how to upgrade a car, like boost controller, front mount and everything. It was just like, okay, doing that all at once, and once you've done it a couple times, it's just like, yeah, you can make it look really nice. And yeah, no, it was done up pretty well. And then a mate of mine, so that's around about that sort of time I purchased this Aristo. So I had two Aristos, and I was like, look, I can't afford fuel for two Aristos. So back last year, I had a mate of mine that was just like, hey, will you be selling your Aristo anytime soon, like the older one? And I was just like, you know what, I might do that. So I did, and he bought it, and he's going to wrap it, and he changed the wheels and tires on it, and raised it up a little bit because it was slammed. The previous owner had it on the floor, so speed bumps were a bit of a pain, and it was also illegal in the state of Western Australia. So he fixed that up, and yeah, that one is on stock suspension too, so speed humps are a breeze. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff, although it looks too full drive spec, and yeah, but it adds to the sleeper effect. But eventually coilovers are going to go into the car. Civic sitting looking pretty, but oh dear, it's a Crown, and it's a Crown Manchester, which means big V8. Hello? Got a nice chop sticker.